Why not? Yo. What's up? What's up? Hello, everyone. Welcome to the stream. Let me send a message out to the Discord. Let people know that I am here. Happy Valentine's Day. I'm kind of getting over a cold here, so I'm a little sniffly. Hopefully that will not be too annoying, but I feel okay, just kind of, you know, on the tail end of it. How's everybody doing? Yeah, it was the cold. It was, I feel like, I mean, I don't know how long colds normally last, but usually for me, it's usually just like one day where it's really bad. And then after that, it's just kind of annoying. So I had like one day where I was like close to bedridden, but outside of that, it's fine. You just kind of phlegmed up. Yeah, these weather fluctuations, it seems like an old wives' tale that weather changes makes people sick, but every time the weather is all over the place, I always get sick. But how are you guys doing? How you doing, Tom? Kale? Fucking awesome. What's up? Good name. Bubblegum. Boy Meets World fan, indeed. Definitely one of my favorite shows. I loved your video on Elaine Bennis. Thank you very much. I think a lot of people like that video. I'm pretty proud of it. Pingle McCringleberry, what's up? Happy Friday, Priscilla. So I ain't got no lady today. I do not. That's cool though. It's fine. I didn't really put any effort into finding one, so that's fine. I honestly forgot that it was Valentine's Day until like a few hours ago. I feel like I was more engaged with that sort of stuff when I was younger and more social, but I like don't leave the house that much these days, so it's like I don't even know what's going on. Cold makes a person completely grinded and exhausted even though you didn't do anything the entire day. Yeah, it really takes a lot out of you. But when they say that when you're sick that you should rest and drink fluids, it definitely works. It definitely speeds up the process of recovery if you just allow yourself to rest. I thought it was the 19th somehow. What's for dinner tonight? I literally just ate a pork chop and some broccoli casserole. And I have zero sugar Dr. Pepper cream soda. This is like my new favorite drink. This is super good. I've been a Diet Coke person my whole life, but I've been on this. This is like super good. Holidays just seem to pass by me these days. I don't think, for me, I mean, I enjoy like the holiday season. Like I always celebrate Thanksgiving and Christmas with family, so I'm very engaged with those holidays. I used to be really into Halloween, but not really that much these days. Although I do appreciate sort of the dressing up aspect. But yeah, Valentine's Day is definitely like not super on my radar. In Brazil, Valentine's Day is on June 12th. Chicken and broccoli here. Word. That's, you know, on another day, that's something I very well could have had. I eat a lot of chicken and broccoli. I think broccoli is a top tier vegetable in my opinion. Zero sugar Dr. Pepper cream soda, gonna say hell no to that. I mean, to each his own, but don't knock it until you try it. I mean, I think that a lot of people, especially if you are used to sugar-based drinks, artificial sweeteners probably taste weird to you. Like, I know a lot of people that think diet soda is absolutely disgusting. But it's one of those, it's like an acquired taste, I think, just like a lot of other things. And now regular sugar tastes weird to me in drinks. Like if I drink like a regular Dr. Pepper or a regular Coke, it tastes weird. What's your opinion of Punky Brewster? I have not seen that since I was a very little kid. Punky Brewster is like very slightly before my time, I think. Like that's like an 80s show, right? I was born in the 80s, so I was like very young. So I barely remember it. I'd like to rewatch it though and see like see if it was any good. There's probably something to it because it was pretty popular. Dating again at 40, woman here, out of an 8-year relationship. Any advice? I don't know. I guess it depends on what you think, what your problems are. Like, what are the roadblocks? I mean, you definitely gotta put yourself in a position to meet people if you want to date. And I think you gotta be open-minded, I guess. I find a lot of people, especially people around this age, of which I am also, since we kind of all like know who we are and what we like, we kind of have this very like rigid, like you have to check off box before I will even talk to you. And I think you have to be a little bit more open-minded than that. Give people a chance, but also, you know, don't be like me and don't just sit in your house all day. I mean, there's like dating apps and stuff, but those, I mean, I don't have anything against dating apps, but I think meeting people, there's like nothing beats meeting people in person. So depends on what you're into. Like, you know, some people do bars and things like that, but you know, you can like join clubs, you can take classes, you can, you know, do like local events, go to shows, things like that. Do I like Mickey Mouse? I like Mickey Mouse. I appreciate I feel like a lot of those old school cartoon characters, most of them are either like really like mischievous or really their whole thing is that they're like really stupid or something like that. But Mickey Mouse is just a good dude, and I appreciate that about Mickey Mouse. Broccoli's my favorite green, kind of a comfort food. Yeah, I love broccoli. I also love spinach. I was like the only kid, like I've always loved spinach my whole life, and I feel like spinach is one of those foods that a lot of children don't like. But I was like, when I was a kid, I loved spinach, and I feel like I was the only kid that liked it. Did I catch the halftime performance? I did. It's pretty good. I was saying recently, I don't know if the Kendrick halftime performance is my favorite of all time, but I don't think that I have ever rewatched a halftime performance as many times as I rewatched that one. I enjoyed it. Electric Lomain, thank you for the $4.99. What's your opinion on ChatGPT or AI, etc.? Do you use any of it for creating anything or help your research process? Yes, I use ChatGPT all the time. I think I use ChatGPT more than Google now. AI it's an interesting subject. There's a lot of things that you could say about it. I don't consider myself an expert. I just think, you know, as with anything else, I think we all should, like, you know, do our research and decide how we feel about things. And I think that obviously there's a lot of good that can be done with AI. So we got to figure out the best way to use it. Obviously there's a lot of crazy, unethical things that can be done with AI as well. So I don't know. The answer is that it's complicated, like everything else. Fellow single guy on Valentine's Day here. What's up? Are you a Chiefs fan or a Philly fan? Neither really. I was going for Philadelphia because I'm an Alabama fan, and Jalen Hurts was once the quarterback from Alabama, and also Deontay Smith was also at Alabama, so it was kind of a surrogate for Alabama, so I was going for the Eagles. I don't really keep up with NFL. I watch college football much more than NFL. Am I into drinking coffee? I don't drink a lot of coffee, but I do drink it sometimes. It's kind of like an as needed basis. Like if I really need a hit of caffeine, like if I need energy, or if I need to not go to sleep for some reason, I'll drink coffee, but I don't like drink it every day like some people. Ravens are the superior bird. Ravens are pretty cool. Who would win in a fight between Darth Vader or Wolverine? I think I gotta go with Wolverine on that. It's very hard to beat Wolverine. Very important question. Cats or dogs? Definitely dogs. I feel like I shouldn't talk too much about this because I get in trouble whenever I have this debate, because people have very strong opinions about this. But I don't like cats, really. They're cute. I'll give them that. Thoughts on Ethan Klein versus Hassan? This is another thing I think people try to get me in trouble. I honestly feel like I shouldn't even comment, but I think that I don't know. I probably shouldn't even comment on it. I think that I don't even know what to say. I'm trying to think of a way to say that's not just going to immediately make a bunch of people mad. Prince is still the best. Yeah, Prince is probably the best halftime performance. How come you're not actively dating right now? I think that there's a long answer to that. Part of it is just because I've become extremely independent, and it's really hard for me to give up that independence. In fact, I've had some issues dating because of that, where I'll date someone and then we start hanging out and I'm like, well, I don't really feel like doing that. I just kind of want to do my own thing right now. But it's just going to take some time for me to like figure out the best situation and to find someone that is cool with that kind of dynamic. But also it just gets harder as you get older. Like I used to go out a lot, like go out to bars and stuff like that all the time, and I don't at all anymore. So I don't even like meet new people that much anymore. Yeah. And there's a lot of, those are probably the two biggest things. I love fresh spinach. Boiled spinach tastes bitter to me. Well, you gotta, there are things you can do to improve the flavor. But I mean, spinach does have kind of a bitter taste to it. I understand what you mean, but I like it. He did things no artist has done at the halftime show. He's so intentional. His art's so layered. Yeah, I think so. In terms of like pure entertainment, I think there are a few that I like better, like Prince, and I really like the Dr. Dre and Eminem one. But in terms of just creative vision and art and symbolism, I don't think anyone has made one as deep as Kendrick has done. Not that I know of, at least. Roll Tide. You think big content creators posting on Valentine's Day saying don't feel bad about being alone are doing it out of genuine thought or obligation? I can't read people's minds, but you definitely shouldn't feel bad about being single. There's like absolutely nothing wrong with that. So whether, whatever their intentions are, it's a good thing to say. Michael Myers or Jason Voorhees? I feel like this might be another contentious subject. But definitely Jason. Just in terms of Jason is way, like, Michael Myers is kind of whack in my opinion. Jason is way cooler. However, there are probably more. I don't even know if this is true. I was gonna say there's probably more decent Halloween movies than Jason movies, but that might not even be true because there's a lot of shitty Halloween movies. Remember the movie where Busta Rhymes did karate on Michael Myers? What's your go-to donut? I haven't had a donut in a minute. I really like jelly-filled donuts though. Do you feel like there's still a lot of negative stigma towards single guys over 30? I don't know. I don't really notice it if there is. There may be negative stigma towards single guys over 30 from younger people, but I think people over 30 often don't care about the opinions of younger people. So now revisit the idea of doing Kevin and can F himself video. I mean, it's still, it's on the list for sure, but it's not the thing I'm currently working on. Dating has gotten too exhausting, at least for me in this period of my life. I can see that. I mean, if it's exhausting, you should probably limit it. But there are probably ways to make it less exhausting. I love your video on becoming a Scrabble master. Do you have any plans to make more videos on overcoming challenges? Possibly. I don't know. I'd have to think of something that I think would make a good video. The issue with that video and videos like it is the people on this channel did not show a lot of interest in it. It's one of those things where the people who did watch it really seemed to like it a lot, but a lot of people, most people, chose not to watch it. And when that happens, the video doesn't get a lot of views. And I don't necessarily need the videos to get a lot of views. However, that video took a long time to make. And so that's kind of the problem when YouTube is your job, is you have to do like a cost benefit analysis for everything. And it's just like, it's like not worth the time it took to make to make the video. So if I'm in a position where I don't need the videos to like make the money back, which is a thing that could happen, you know, in the future. If I get to that point, then I'll make more videos like that. Or if I could find a way to make the videos like very quickly without spending a lot of time and money. Lecture Lomain, thank you for the $9.99. So WWE Vince McMahon and Linda too is kind of problematic. I liked wrestling as a kid. I read a book about women in wrestling in the Diva era, in the progression to the Sasha Banks era. What do I think? Yeah, I think Vince McMahon is definitely problematic, and the WWE has been problematic in the past for sure. But the WWE has made a lot of strides going like nowadays. And I don't know, there's a lot that you could say about it. And I think it's one of those things that is more complex than a lot of people give it credit for. I think Vince McMahon was just the person who wanted his company to make money, which is not necessarily a bad thing. However, he definitely cared more about that than like people's lives and about being ethical. But the thing is, when you talk to anyone who was in WWE, they generally don't talk shit about Vince McMahon. They seem to respect him, and they like know him better than I do. So I don't know how that goes. But yeah, just like anything else, it evolved over time. Some of, you know, everything that people love, not everything, but many things that people love had to evolve into, you know, a more acceptable form. In terms of full-on creative vision, Prince is always going to be top shelf. Well, Prince kind of had an unfair advantage because apparently he had God on his side, because it started raining while he was playing Purple Rain. And I don't know how you're going to ever top that. I'd rather be single than a bad relationship, for sure. I would argue that most people should prefer that. Don't know if this has been asked before. Favorite color. My favorite color is orange. And I feel like maybe I came up with that when I was a kid just because it was different. But I genuinely think that it's a really cool color. It's a very underrated color. I'm not sure why it's not more people's favorite color. Busta Rhymes doing karate on Michael Myers sounds like an automatic masterpiece. I mean, depending on how you define masterpiece, it was definitely entertaining. It sounds like something I made up, but that is definitely something that happened. This may sound like a weird question, but how would you prevent your son from being an incel? Well, as someone who doesn't have a son, I don't really know. I'd have to like be in that situation, but I think part of it is just raising them up with positive talk about women and the relationship between men and women, and teaching them things like, you know, it's okay to be rejected, and it's okay to, and that getting dates and getting sex is not the entire purpose of being alive, but also, you know, giving them healthy ideas about sex and relationships. I think inceldom, a lot of it is rooted in entitlement and misogyny. Also, I think a lot of it is just like self-esteem issues. So I think raising young boys with, you know, positive self-talk, and also like avoiding like toxic masculinity and all that kind of stuff. Any Nebula creators you'd like to give a shout out to? Trying to find more people to watch on there. I mean, you could almost pick anyone. I think they've got such a great collection. I would say I I feel like probably you would know a lot of the people I'd pick, but you know, there's Big Joel's on there who I really like, Maggie Mae Fish, Lindsay Ellis, FD Signifier, Jesse Gender, Leo Vader I feel like is underrated. I think he's still on there. And then, you know, there's the ones that are like really big who you probably know about, like Tierzu and Wendover, stuff like that. Whoops. Got a hole in my lip. Creative question. How do you try to balance your creative vision versus what seems to click with your audience? Well, for me, I see if you're talking about YouTube, which I guess you are, I don't really see YouTube as an art platform. Like, I feel like obviously it's making videos is a creative process, but my goal on YouTube is to make stuff that people want to watch. So I don't really see a problem with that, you know? So I just try to make stuff that people want to watch, that I want to make. If there's something that there's a lot of stuff that I want to make that I would like to make that I don't make because it's just not what people are here for. I want to make videos about like pro wrestling and D&D and fucking the Marvel Cinematic Universe and chess. Like, there's a lot of stuff I would like to make videos about, but it's just not what people subscribe to this channel for, so I don't do it. And I think that's fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like, I have creative outlets in other areas. So really, I think audience first personally on YouTube, and I think YouTube is an entertainment platform. I don't think it's an art platform. I think succeeding on YouTube is just trying to figure out what people want to watch and then making that. And then obviously you would want it to align with stuff that you want to make. But I think audience first, to be honest. I don't know if everyone else thinks that way. I think there are a lot of people who are lucky enough that they get to make the things that they want to make and the audience loves it. But I don't got that, as I've learned many times. Pro wrestling is an art within itself. Even if the McMahon has a monopoly, that doesn't make the art problematic within itself. Oh, for sure. And I mean, WWE doesn't even have a monopoly anymore, really. There's a lot of competition, and I think people are becoming more interested in indie wrestling. And that's something I realized recently. Like, WWE is WWE, and it's like kind of its own form of high production value pro wrestling. But there's so many different types of pro wrestling. Like, if you go to just a small indie show, it's going to look completely different than WWE, and it's probably still going to be entertaining. It's a individual, like, it's a specific art form that Vince McMahon does not, hold. He's not the gatekeeper for. Lecture Lomain, thank you for the $4.99. Can you explain why content and streamers are a thing and why they make so much money? How did streaming like that become a thing? How do you make money? I mean, it's very simple. If you can get a lot of people to, if you make something that a lot of people like, you can become rich. That's really it. Streamers make a lot. Well, first of all, it's something like 0.5% of streamers that are actually making big money. So most streamers are not making that much money, but the ones that do because a lot of people like them. It's not, you know, I feel like it's not that difficult to understand. It's the same reason that pro athletes make a ton of money. It's the same reason that Hollywood actors make a ton of money, is because they make stuff that a ton of people like. So, you know, obviously it's a little, you know, easier said than done, but that's really it. Just do stuff, make stuff that hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people like, and you'll be rich. What's one thing you wish you would have changed in your life 5 to 10 years ago? I wish I would have saved more money. That's the first thing that comes to mind. There's probably other things, but that's one thing. Did I catch the Abbott Elementary and Always Sunny crossover episode? I did not catch that. Yeah, I'm kind of out of the loop on that. I saw some clips from it. It looked pretty cool, but I'm not super in tune with either of those shows, to be honest. Like I'm familiar, like I know like the characters and stuff, but I was like less excited about it than other people because I'm not like a super fan of either of those shows, but mainly just because I haven't seen them. Valentine's Day is way better single. I dread it when I'm in a relationship. Well, that's sad. I feel like you should look forward to opportunities to share affection for your significant other, but you know, every relationship is different. But I also think like you shouldn't put pressure on your significant other to do something crazy just because it's Valentine's Day. Just use it as an opportunity to express your affection for someone. I'm over the whole being single thing. I mean, I guess that's fair. I don't think there's anything wrong with being single. Maybe a second channel to talk about things that don't fit this channel. Yeah, I actually do have a second channel, but the thing about it is the videos, those types of videos still take time to make. And I still have to weigh out whether it is worth the time it takes, even if I put it on a different channel. My second channel is called Stay Heiko, by the way, if anyone's interested. As of now, I just kind of do just random videos about opinions and stuff, but I may do more other things on there. I probably should change the name of it too. Speaking of D&D, do you like Dropout TV? I do. I love Dropout. I'm a huge Dropout fan. In fact, Dimension 20 on Dropout is the thing that got me into D&D. Dude, your Boy Meets World video on Eric Matthews flipped my whole world upside down. Well, I'm glad that it affected you. That video did way better than I ever expected it to do. But I guess people are feeling it. I guess people are digging the idea. Electra Lomain, another $4.99. I'm out T1J. Congrats on the 17 years. Glad I've been here for a lot of it. Heiko, favorite ContraPoints video ever? Well, thank you. Favorite ContraPoints video? I don't even remember. It's been a while since I've watched ContraPoint. I'm trying to even remember what the videos are. Wait, let me see. Hold on. I don't know, man. All of her videos are so good. It's hard. Like the one on incels. Speaking of incels, that was really good. The Tiffany Tumbles videos is good. They're all good. I don't know what to tell you. How do you spell your second channel? Stay Heiko. STAYHAKO. I heard a quote from Patrice O'Neill that I think explains why streaming and Discord servers are popular. I want to be alone, but not by myself. Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of it, but I mean, if you break it down, it's just enjoyable content, you know? I think streamers have they have an advantage in that they build these parasocial relationship a lot stronger than other types of content. But I think this is a similar thing for YouTubers and other video content creators, is the idea of, you know, I see that person on the screen, and they make me feel like they could be my friend. Should I watch Mad Men or Better Call Saul? Don't ask me. I've never seen either show. If a show is not a comedy, there's a like 90% chance I've never seen it. All right, Tom, thanks for stopping by the stream. You said you wanted to do MCU type videos. Are there any projects that are coming up that you're looking forward to? Brave New World or Thunderbolts? Yeah, so I'm a huge Marvel fanboy and a huge MCU fanboy, and I literally get excited every time they release anything. So I'm very excited for Thunderbolts for sure. I'm gonna go see the new Captain America soon. I don't know if anyone's seen it yet, but if you have, no spoilers, please. But I should be going to see that next week. But yeah, I get excited for everything. I just love Marvel. I know that a lot of people have Marvel fatigue, but I am not one of those people. I've talked about this before, but I'm the person that this is for. Like, I grew up reading comics. I grew up loving comics. I've always been a Marvel guy more than DC. And I grew up, I remember, you know, they made a few superhero movies here and there growing up, and they were usually pretty bad. And I remember when the first Spider-Man movie came out and it was actually like pretty good, and I was like, oh, they can actually make a good superhero movie. This is game changing. And then the MCU came around, and like most of them were pretty good, and I was like, we have finally arrived. My time is now. So like I'm like the direct target audience of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I acknowledge that not all of the movies are good. Some of them are pretty middling, and a couple of them I would even describe as bad. But I'm still here for it. I still appreciate them as part of the canon. I just want to see Doom as a supervillain. Yeah, I'm so in, you know. I'm a huge nerd and love Marvel stuff, and honestly the trailer for the new Cap sort of underwhelmed me. It felt like 24 were superheroes. Well, I wouldn't know because I don't watch trailers for Marvel movies. This is a decision I made immediately after the trailer for Civil War. because I thought it was ridiculous that the trailer would spoil that Spider-Man was in the movie. That would have been so hype for that to not be spoiled. So I told myself I'm never watching Marvel trailers anymore. And I think that has been a good decision. For example, in Spider-Man No Way Home, I did not watch the trailers for that. I had no idea what was going to happen in that movie. So you can imagine how hype it was for me to see all that shit for the first time. I did see, however, that the new Captain America movie is getting either like average to low reviews, which is kind of disappointing because that means it's probably not great. It might be okay, but usually the critics are, you know, somewhat accurate to my views. There have been times where I completely disagree with everybody's opinion. I think the most obvious example of that is Secret Invasion. I loved Secret Invasion. While it seems like most people hated it, I thought it was great until the final episode. The final episode, I agree, was terrible. But overall, that shit was super good to me. I felt it was gripping. I was on the edge of my seat every episode. So sometimes I disagree with the critics, but usually they're on point. Super Nintendo or Sega Genesis? Direct answer only, please. No back and forth. I guess I gotta say Super Nintendo. I don't know if no back and forth means I'm not allowed to elaborate, but if I'm forced to pick, I'll say Super Nintendo. I did have both growing up though. James Gunn's Superman, I'm interested in that as well. DC movies have not been totally great, but James Gunn has shown himself to be pretty good at making superhero movies, so I'm interested. Series or movies? I missed the context for that. Which one? What is that in reference to? What are you asking? Sometimes, you know, there's a little delay in when I read the chat, so sometimes I forget the context of the questions that people are asking. Trailers have a formula and structure that just annoys me. Their editing, timing, it's so predictable at this point. Yeah, I suppose that's true. I would imagine if they are that way, it's probably because they've determined that is the most effective thing to do. But sometimes over time, something that is the most effective, since it is so ubiquitous, it starts becoming less effective. So we'll see. I just feel like most trailers just spoil the movies now, which sucks. Especially like if it's some kind of action movie, or not even action movies. If it's a movie where something surprising happens, they probably spoil it in the trailer. Which kind of sucks. Are you a bottom or a power bottom? I don't know. I don't know the definition. Can you describe those to me and then I'll tell you? Define what the difference is. How'd you feel about Deadpool and Wolverine? I thought it was pretty decent. I'll give it a B. I think it is the worst of the 3 Deadpool movies, but it's fine. Do you prefer watching series or movies? Because movies are actually something more unique that in some cases don't have any sequel, while series you can spend a considerable amount of time watching. Do you just mean in general? Are you talking about comedy, or are you talking about superhero stuff? In general, I prefer TV to movies, because you have more time to like develop characters and tell stories and stuff, and you can have like multiple character arcs and stuff like that. But I mean, obviously movies are great as well. I saw the trailer for Companion before seeing the movie. Great movie, but there was one bit in the trailer that would have made it nearly a 10 out of 10 for me if they hadn't included it. Yeah, I just feel like they do that a lot. And listen, I end up looking foolish a lot of the time when I skip trailers. Like literally, if I'm in the theater for a movie and they show a MCU trailer, I literally close my eyes and plug my ears. Like literally. And I look stupid in front of my friends or whatever, but it's like, I'm not doing it. I'm not letting them spoil this movie for me. Like I was watching the Super Bowl. They showed the Captain America trailer at the Super Bowl. I walked out of the room. Or I don't know if I walked out, but I definitely like closed my eyes. Never really a Fox movie fan, but that was fun. Yeah, it's definitely a fun movie. I'd watch it again. And I appreciated like all the fan service and stuff. Like, again, I'm a fanboy, so I appreciate that kind of thing. This may sound like an annoying statement, but I feel like in certain left-wing communities, I can't like a problematic person's art without feeling dismissive energy. Example, I'll bring up the Beatles and someone will say, you know, John Lennon was a wife beater. Am I wrong for not caring about an artist's problematic behavior? So I think that's every person gets to decide like how they deal with that sort of thing. I have been on record many times saying I am a very strong believer in separating the art from the artist. Otherwise, it is very hard to enjoy almost anything. But yeah, I also have become very like fed up and annoyed with left-wing purity tests and just the idea of people on the left not allowing anyone to enjoy anything. But a lot of that is just weirdos on social media. You shouldn't take it very seriously. Don't let just like a couple weirdos ruin stuff for you. Are samurais still good, cool or not in today's society? I mean, I can't speak for what society thinks is cool, but I think samurai are cool. Second Deadpool movie is actually the worst one. I mean, everybody has their own view, I guess. I think the second one, I don't know. I feel like the story, the first and second one have more coherent stories than the third one. The third one just seemed to kind of throw a bunch of stuff together that like barely made sense, just as an excuse to put a bunch of familiar characters on the screen. I feel like the first two ones actually had stories that made sense, that you actually cared about. Also, Zazie Bates, I think that's how you say her name. I just love her. Hello, love your work. My main question is, are there any media franchises you don't think you'd ever make a video on despite liking it a lot? Well, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I won't make a video on just because I don't think that people on this channel want to watch it. Like we've been talking a lot about MCU. I have made MCU videos actually on this channel before, but I probably won't do it again because I don't think people on this channel, like, by and large, like as a whole, I don't think that's what people are here for. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff. I mean, most things. I mean, as of right now, I mostly just make videos about either old sitcoms or old reality shows. And I'll probably will keep doing that unless I just think something just has to be made. Favorite superhero? I don't know. That's a really hard one. I go back and forth with that. Growing up, it was definitely Spider-Man, but I don't feel quite as I don't identify quite as much with Spider-Man as an adult. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure why. Maybe because Spider-Man is usually depicted as kind of like a annoying teenager. But outside of that, I don't know. I like Black Panther a lot. I like Black Panther and Daredevil are probably up there. I like Thor also. Batman is really cool when he's written correctly. But yeah, I don't know. One of those probably. I liked X-Men Days of Future Past. I like that movie a lot too, actually. I'm just glad they didn't put Blade and Gambit in the D&W trailer. I guess that movie's been out long enough that we don't have to do spoiler warnings. But yeah, again, I wouldn't know because I didn't watch the trailer, but I thought that was cool. What's your opinion on Tremors? Like the old horror movie? Or is that a new horror movie? It's an old movie, right? Yeah. I don't know. I've never seen it. I think I saw the kill count for it on the for those who don't know, there's a channel called Dead Meat where they do sort of retrospectives on horror movies and also count all the kills in it. And I watched that. How do you fold your towels, halves or thirds? My towels? How do you fold something in thirds? Wait. People fold towels in thirds? What the hell? What I do is I fold it in half the short way and then fold it in half again. That's how I fold my towels. Not really into MCU. I clocked out mentally after the second Spider-Man movie. That's fair. I think a lot of people are completely clocked out from MCU. I think I fully admit that I am just one of the few people that just probably will never get fatigued about this. Okay, have to go. Have fun. Okay. Appreciate it. Thanks for stopping by. The correct answer is Batman. I do think when Batman is written well, he's probably the coolest superhero. Although it's hard to write him sometimes, especially nowadays with all the sort of class consciousness, because he's a billionaire that like beats up people as his side gig, which is like a little bit cringe if you think about it. I feel like there are some public figures that have done things so bad it's become almost impossible. I can never watch the Cosby Show or listen to R. Kelly. I can still watch Benoit matches though. Well, see, that's why I say it's every person has to kind of decide what works for them. Because I think a lot of people would argue that what Chris Benoit did is equally bad as what Cosby or R. Kelly did, if not worse. So you just got to decide what you can deal with. I don't think that there is any rules or, you know, there's no like cosmic rule book that's like you're allowed to like this person and not like this person. You just got to decide what you can personally deal with. Like I love, like, the Cosby Show is actually, like, unironically probably my favorite show of all time. And it is a little bit awkward to watch now, but I can still enjoy it. But R. Kelly, it's really hard to listen to R. Kelly for me, because whenever he's like singing about a girl, I can't help but imagine that he's singing about an underage girl, and that makes me a little bit weirded out when I listen to the songs, and that's just how my brain reacts to it. Best place to get non-incel dating advice. Best place? I don't know. I don't even know if I can name a place. Getting dating advice is kind of hard in general. Like, where do you get dating advice in general? I think you just got to find, you know, ethical people to talk to and to ask questions of. And a lot of times it's not about dating advice, it's just about learning how to become an attractive person, how to have more charisma, how to be more socially competent. And those are things that you can just learn about, like, in books and things like that. Just make sure that, you know, it's not a fucking pickup artist book. Did I keep up with the Sony verse? Well, I guess not. I've seen the Venom movies. I did not watch Morbius. I did not watch Madam Web. I mean, I'll probably watch them at some point, but it's one of those things where it's like, man, I know they're bad. Like, I would like to watch them because I just want to know all the superhero stuff. But it's one of those situations where I just 100% know that they're bad. So it's like, is it rational to go and willingly sit through a movie that you know you're not gonna like? What's up, V Chambliss? The Marvels is a pretty underrated MCU film, way better than Captain Marvel. Just love the dynamic of the three leads. Yeah, I think I would definitely agree it's better than Captain Marvel. I think that I think of the Marvels as a Miss Marvel movie until they give her her own movie, because I think that she, like, hard carried that movie personally. The movie is pretty cool. I feel like I liked it less than a lot of other people. It has, like, maybe the most forgettable villain in all of the MCU. But I do agree that there was a cool dynamic between the three of them. I'm a swing both ways kind of nerd, and I love DC stuff just as much. I feel similarly about Arrowverse CW shows as you do by MCU. I know some of it's garbage, but it's my garbage. I love it. Yeah, I back that. I think the Arrowverse is a little underrated too. I haven't, like, caught all of it, but the Flash show's, like, actually pretty good. Kind of a banger. And Arrow's pretty good too. I don't know about Supergirl. I've only seen, like, one episode of that, and I thought it was, like, pretty, like, whatever. Sprite or ginger ale for a cold? I never heard of Sprite for a cold. I don't think I've heard of ginger ale for a cold either. I've heard of ginger ale for, like, nausea. For a cold, drink some tea or some soup. Lifestyle compatibility is really important when it comes to being with someone long term. I think that's true. I do think sometimes there are certain compromises you should consider making if you, like, really like someone and want to be with them. But yeah, there are certain compatibilities that just need to be there. Like, I'm a very non-religious person. In fact, I'm a very anti-religious person. I don't think I can date someone who was religious and who like went to church every Sunday and was like super into doing religious stuff all the time. I just don't think that would work. Can you use 2x4s as chopsticks? Is this like a reference that I don't get? When I had a cold, drinking tea really helped a lot. Also, here's something, I don't know, this is like a life hack that I learned recently. I don't know if you guys know about this, but if your nose is like, if your like nose is really congested and you can't breathe through your nose, if you exercise or do like physical activity, it clears it up instantly. Now it might come back in a few minutes, but you can just get up and do it again. I just learned this. It's crazy. I think it's something like if you do something that requires your body to need more oxygen, your brain like sends signals to your nose to clear up so you can take in more oxygen. So you can like do push-ups or something, or do, you know, like run in place or something. And it like clears your nose up instantly. So that's a life hack for those who didn't know. I just learned this. Maybe this is common knowledge, but I thought it was pretty cool. Speaking of which, I'm kind of congested now because I don't know if those who are still here, but I'm getting over a cold. Like I don't feel bad, but I still have, you know, the lingering effects where I'm a little congested and things like that. The Flash was really good. I really want Grant Gustin to play Barry Allen in a movie. He's great. I like Supergirl. It's definitely leaned corny, but Martian Manhunter is in my top 3 soups. So yeah, I mean, I shouldn't judge Supergirl because I really have seen very little of it. I've seen more of The Flash, and it is like, it has that sort of cheesy CW feel, but I really think they showed a lot of respect for the IP, which I like. My brother like loves the Flash series. He's always talking about it. Like, and I will say this. If you make like a tier list of every time speedsters have been shown in film and TV, the Flash series is like up there. It's like Sony's Quicksilver is probably like top tier. Like that was just, they knocked it out of the park. Or not Sony, but Fox's Quicksilver. Evan Peters' Quicksilver, basically. And then maybe like the Flash series. Also very underrated is Makari from Eternals. How does religion affect your personality? I don't understand the question. My personality, or you just mean in general? I feel wrestling fans use CT as an excuse that Benoit was not all there and his brain was on autopilot. Every wrestler would use CT as an excuse for the bad behavior then. I mean, even if it was CTE, I don't know that really changes much. I mean, in my opinion, most people, in my opinion, most of the time, if someone just murders someone in cold blood, you probably got some kind of mental issue going on, whether chronic or temporary. I don't know that that is like a neurotypical thing to do. I mean, obviously I'm not an expert, but it seems to me that that is not a neurotypical thing to do. So I don't know that you can just say mental illness like absolves people of responsibility. Even outside of like heinous crimes, I don't like when people use mental illness or anything like that as an excuse to be shitty. Like that, I find that very obnoxious. And obviously this is not saying that people who are mentally ill are more predisposed to being shitty or to be murderers or whatever. But, you know, it's a not all mammals are cows, but all cows are mammals type of thing. I heard about that. It's got to do with your blood vessels and circulation. Yeah. And I tried it. It definitely works. And it's like instant. It happens immediately. So there's a tip for you. Let me know if any of you ever try it. If your nose is stopped up, just do something that do some kind of you can't just do light exercise. You got to do something that actually like gets you moving. Most people recommend doing push-ups. Just do like 3 push-ups. And if you can't do a push-up, just do the knee push-ups. Those work too. Anything that just requires physical exertion. Do I watch Invincible? I've not seen all of it. I've seen the first season and maybe half of the second season. It's pretty good though. I liked it. It's kind of a bleak show though, which is not really my jam, but I really, really like the art style and the animation and the characters and stuff. So I enjoy it, but sometimes shows are just kind of a bummer and it's just a lot. And I think Invincible is one of those shows. Like obviously it's comedic, it's funny, but it seems very bleak. It's unfortunate that Danielle Panabaker is apparently unbearable to work with and apparently racist, which contributed to the ending of the series. Oh, I didn't even know about any of that. Yeah, I didn't really follow any of the behind the scenes news. This is neurodivergent slander. I didn't mean it like that. But I do know that I have seen neurodivergent people use their neurodivergence as an excuse to be shitty, which I don't like. And it's not even to say that neurodivergence can't lead to people doing shitty things, because obviously it can. But you can't use that as an excuse to just do it and then just expect people to accept it. Like, find the solution. Don't just be like, well, that's just going to happen because I'm neurodivergent. And this is coming from someone who's, had anxiety and probably has ADHD. I don't like self-diagnosis, but I'm like 99% sure that I have it. Favorite Robin. I don't know. I have to think about it. I'm not even like super sure if I memorize all of the Robin backstories, but I mean, I guess I got to go with the original Dick Grayson, right? What video games have you been enjoying these days? Balatro. I've been playing a lot of Balatro. It's super fun. Very good game. And I think a game that I'm probably gonna always play is Overwatch. I go back and forth, but I always come back to Overwatch. I just love Overwatch. I know a lot of people are playing Marvel Rivals now, but I haven't picked it up yet. I'm sure I'll try it. I'll try it at some point, but I just love Overwatch. I play it all the time. But as for like relatively newer games, I've been playing a lot of Balatro, which is a roguelike deck building game if you're unfamiliar, which if you don't know what those words mean, that probably doesn't help you, but it's a good game. Batman always said Dick is the best. Yeah, I think canonically Batman has always liked Dick the best, even more than his own son. What's your stance on piracy? I think you got to be more specific. Like there's probably elements of piracy that could be justified, and there's probably some forms of piracy that are less ethical and less morally justifiable. Might depend on the situation. I've been playing Pokemon ROM hacks. They reawakened my love for the franchise. Word. I've never got really into Pokemon, but I've thought about trying to get into it because it really, there's a really strong Pokemon community, but I don't know. I just never really been into it. The Pokemon games just seem like an RPG with no story, and it's like the main reason I play RPGs are because of the story. So it's like, what am I doing here? But I'm sure that people who are fans of Pokemon will hate that that characterization of them. So, did you like the Elden Ring DLC or Elden Ring / FromSoft in general? I've never played Elden Ring. I don't think that the FromSoft type stuff is my jam, but I haven't really played a lot of them. I've watched people play them, and I know a lot of people who love those games. I tried playing Dark Souls a long time ago, and I think I just died over and over again in the first room of the game, and I was like, you know what? Fuck this. And that's my experience with Dark Souls and FromSoft type games. That type of stuff is not really my jam, I guess. But it's an interesting thing because those games are like hard and kind of brutal. But for example, I play a lot of competitive games like Overwatch, for example. I play fighting games. And I've had this discussion with one of my friends who is a big fan of FromSoft games. And he was like, but fighting games are just as hard. Like when you play a fighting game, you go online and you get your ass whooped over and over, but you play those. It's like, I don't know. There's something about the competition against another human that I can deal with. But the idea of some developer making this PvE world that's designed to just be cheap and frustrating, I just don't like it. But you know, I respect that people love it. Many people told me that Elden Ring is, you know, one of the greatest games they've ever played, and I'm sure that it is. Marvel Rivals is good. It's Overwatch for comic book nerds. Most of the characters are direct transfers of Overwatch characters, and team up abilities make my nerd heart happy. Yeah, you would think that this is the perfect game for me because I love Marvel and I love Overwatch. So I should probably just play it. I know I would like it. Part of it is like I don't feel like learning a new game, but I don't know why I say that. You know, I learn new games all the time. I also don't. The way it looks is kind of weird to me. Like it looks like a mobile game, kind of. Like I don't know. It just something about it just looks weird to me. But I know that if I played it, I would like it. So I'll definitely play it at some point. I think I'm also a little bit kind of resentful because it's like almost like stealing the Overwatch community away. And I love Overwatch so much, so maybe some of it is just kind of like it hurts my feelings because I love Overwatch. But you know, I'll get over it. The slander comment was in jest. I hear where you're coming from. Musk claiming autism to excuse his general shittiness is so silly it's laughable. Oh yeah, for sure. Does he have autism for real? Has anyone confirmed that? I mean, maybe. I don't know. I'd watch the Pokemon stream if you played it. Maybe I'll try it. I do want to do a little bit of gaming on this stream, and I want to try like different stuff. So maybe I could try that. But will I enjoy it? That's the question. Kingdom Hearts fan? I mean, Kingdom Hearts 1 is one of my favorite games of all time. Kingdom Hearts 2 is pretty fun too, but I don't know, you know, what are they even doing with Kingdom Hearts? Like that game, that series and that franchise just went absolutely nuts. Like, does anyone even understand what's going on in Kingdom Hearts? It's certainly not an experience for everyone. FromSoft definitely isn't for everyone. Yeah, I mean, that's how certain things are. Just like, you know, I like fighting games a lot. Fighting games are definitely not for everyone. And don't believe anyone who tells you they're hard but fair. Yeah, I know they're not fair. But that's how that's how some games are. Some games are designed to be trial and error type games. And there's nothing wrong with that at the end of the day, you know. Do you think porn addiction is a real thing? Why do you think some people are hesitant to call it a real addiction? Definitely a real thing. Absolutely. Why are some people hesitant to call it a real addiction? I think that people don't understand addiction. I think that a lot of people think that if you choose to do something, that means that you can't be addicted to it. And I think a lot of people think that you can't be addicted to something if it's not like a substance that you put in your body that like changes your physiology. But I think that people don't realize that your brain is also part of your body, and when you feed things to your brain, it does similar things to drugs where it creates dopamine in your brain. I personally think, and again, I'm not an expert, but I would imagine that anything that creates instant dopamine is probably something that you can get addicted to. So that's porn, that's video games, that's food, obviously drugs, sex. I think any of those things can cause physiological addiction. And some people are more predisposed to being addicted to certain things, if not all of those things. So yeah, 100% you can be addicted. And then, I mean, with certain things, many people know someone who is addicted. Like, so that it can be a bit frustrating when you hear people talk about, oh, that's not a real addiction, when you like actually know someone who's like having this shit like ruin their lives. Gambling is another one. On the Pokemon thing, I do think majority of the games have terrible stories, but there are two notable exceptions, Black, White, and Sun, Moon. Interesting. I didn't know that. I just thought that they were all kind of the same game with updated Pokemon. That makes me interested in trying those games if they have good stories. It's not even a new game, really, if you're an Overwatch fan. I never played Overwatch and I started playing Rivals, and it got me into Overwatch. Yeah, I'll like it. It would be silly for me to dismiss this game because it's like made for me. Like, I love Marvel and I love Overwatch. It's like, here's a game specifically for you. Play it. I play them all. I have zero idea what's going on. I'm just here for Donald and Goofy. I mean, I back that. I mean, that was such a groundbreaking thing at the time. I mean, it still is kind of groundbreaking for, especially knowing, like, it was like Square and Disney, and both of these companies are like well known for how crazy they are about their IP, and the fact that they both decided to come together and make this game is wild. Like, the fact that I'm like fighting alongside like Aladdin, and it's like, what is going on? This is amazing. Thank you for the $4.99 P-Band J96. I had a goal of 5 super chats today, and I got them. I didn't plan for something to do when I got the goal, because I didn't think that it was gonna get met, but it did. So if anybody has something chill that I could do as a reward, let me know. I'm an alcohol and drug counselor. Let me say that you can have an unhealthy relationship with anything at all. It's a dopamine dependence, 1000%, for sure. Some people even think that alcohol addiction isn't a thing. I think that's becoming less and less prevalent these days, but I've definitely heard people dispute that. I think I have I don't know if I have like addictive personality, but this is part of why I think I have ADHD, because part of ADHD is like, I think part of it is like either low dopamine levels or like an over dependence on dopamine. And with certain things like alcohol and other things, if I'm not paying attention, I can definitely get carried away. But luckily I've never gotten to a point where it like was ruining my life and things like that. I have had issues where when I was younger, like for example, I got fired from a job one time because I called in too many times because I was hungover. And you know, that may have happened to a lot of people, but that's not some shit that should happen, you know? Alcohol should not affect your work life in that way. Have you been on Wikipedia lately? I've searched some things up lately, and a couple of pages feel like a lot have been omitted, or I don't know, something feels off, like the page for DEI seems cold. Maybe just me. I don't know. I haven't really noticed it. I think Wikipedia, I mean, if it has been, it usually when people try to do that, when they try to like either vandalize Wikipedia or change it for whatever reason, usually the community is pretty good about fixing it pretty quickly. So maybe if you check again in a couple days, it'll be fixed, but I don't know. I haven't noticed it. I think people are hesitant to call porn addiction a real thing because a lot of the advocates for porn addiction come from a puritanical, sexist, bad place. Yeah, possibly. Yeah, I know it's a weird thing. It's weird because like when I think of like the two biggest communities that are anti-porn, it's like the puritanical sort of religious types, and then it's also like the sort of red pill pro men types that are also really anti-porn. So it's like it's a very interesting dichotomy. And then to get this character, both Sony and Disney own, goes on to be a fighter in Smash. Yeah, I think I went on record saying that there was no way that Sora would ever be in Smash. I don't know, but I think that just goes to show how respected Smash and Sakurai are, that they were able to get that done. I have no idea how that worked. Addictive personality is sort of a myth. In reality, it's all about your brain trying to meet its needs, and if you don't have safeguards or alternatives in place, you'll find a way to meet that. I mean, I'm not an expert on that, but there are definitely people who are more predisposed to certain things than others. I don't know exactly what the cause of that is, for example. Like, for example, there are people who can go out, have a couple drinks, and be good, and then go home. For me, if I go out, if I start drinking, I don't really want to stop. Like, I can stop myself if I'm really paying attention, but I generally don't want to stop. And on the flip side, there are people, you know, if they go to the casino, they just cannot stop. They just want to keep gambling, losing all their money. But me, I can go to the casino, I'll set a limit and I'll stop, and I have no desire to keep playing. So I don't know, it's like different people have different ways of dealing with it. Couldn't tell you why. I mean, you might know better than me. But yeah, I had to really have a long talk with myself about alcohol. I think this is one of the reasons why I drink diet sodas, because I want the taste of sugar. It makes me feel good, but sugar's bad for you. So when you have diet sodas, you can have more of that sweet flavor without feeling bad about yourself. I have ADHD, and I definitely get into those borderline scenarios. I think it's hyperfixation, which is another thing people don't really understand. Yeah, I think that could be part of it as well. That particular soda slaps. Yeah, I've been trying to put people on this. Zero sugar cream soda Dr. Pepper. This junk is good. It's super good. Someone was roasting me earlier in the chat for drinking it, but it was pretty good. The Dr. Pepper, they have a lot of flavors now. I don't know if these all just came out, if they've been out for a while, but I just noticed they've got like a coconut flavor. They got a strawberry and cream flavor. They got a bunch of them. Red pill community, aka the deeply closeted homosexual community. I mean, I don't know about all that, but they got something. They're repressing something. The way that they talk about sex is a bit weird to me. But I think that when you're in a situation where you feel like you're entitled to sex, I think it like removes the enjoyment of sex from the equation. And then at that point, you're just kind of like pursuing sex just because you think you're supposed to and because you think you deserve it. And I think that's also one of the reasons why they don't like porn, because it's like that's not sex. The point of sex is not to feel good. The point of sex is, whatever, like, because it's a thing that men are entitled to or whatever. And porn mainly is just about, it's about the dopamine. It's about, well, I won't say that's what it's about, but kind of the main outcome of porn is that you get a good feeling. And alongside like masturbation and stuff, which is, I feel like we've successfully demonetized this stream or whatever, but that's fine. Have you ever thought that maybe you wouldn't be, have you ever thought that maybe you wouldn't be single if you had 10 marriages and $40 billion? Think about it, man. Is this like a reference to like Donald Trump or something? Everyone is going to respond differently to stimulus, and it's often that you might have compounding mental health stuff or insecurities that shift one direction or another when met with substances. Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I saw Blackberry Dr. Pepper the other day. It's getting silly out there. They're trying stuff. But yeah, when I was younger, I was a big fan of cream soda. It's just, I don't know, it's just like a pure sugar rush. So I saw this like zero sugar, and they do have a full sugar version as well, which probably tastes better. But I saw the zero sugar cream soda, and I was like, I gotta try that. And also just regular Dr. Pepper in general is pretty good. So cream soda Dr. Pepper has to be good. Vacation spot, cozy cabin in the woods, or seaside cottage. Honestly, I love both of those options. I don't know. It depends on my mood, really. I think probably seaside cottage. I would, if I had to pick. But those are both good. Where's Chubby? Is this a person that I know? The Andrew Tate types and their followers absolutely hate sex. It's 100% status. Yeah, I mean, the way that they talk about it, they don't talk about it as something that is like a pleasurable experience. I think even outside the sort of red pill thing, a lot of straight dudes don't seem to really want sex because it feels good or because it's a, pleasurable display of affection for another human. Like, for example, a thing that I've always found bizarre is how men often prefer virgins, or they don't like there's all this talk about body count these days. Have you guys seen this stuff? People are always talking about what's your body count. Like, who gives a shit, first of all? But second of all, what they're saying is they want someone with less experience. And let me tell you, people with less experience are worse at sex. and it's fine, but what you're saying is you're like advocating for less pleasurable sex. It's especially if you're talking about someone who has never had sex ever again or ever before. But yeah, the whole body count situation is so bizarre to me. It's like, who cares? I truly could not. That's like something that's like truly never could care less about. We need to have a good debate one of these days. Who, you and me? I probably am not going to debate you. Would you rather have unlimited bacon but no video games, or games, unlimited games but no games? Do you mean but no bacon? Bacon's really good, but I'm trying to be healthy these days, so unlimited bacon would probably just make me sad. So I'll take the games. Not to defend the red pill, but once I started becoming more stereotypically masculine, areas in my life did improve. Well, here's the thing about, I'm not like super in tune to like red pill communities, but I used to follow the pickup artist community, which is kind of what evolved into red pill. And they give you a lot of decent advice. They talk about ways to be more charismatic. They tell you to take care of yourself and to, you know, work out and live a healthier life. It's just like the motivations for it are wrong. And this is the issue. Like, there's like very few like positive like role models for young men. And I think that's why that's why so many people get involved in these communities, because these are the only communities that are like giving them this kind of advice. I mean, but yeah, I don't have any problem with masculinity. Obviously, some of the ways in which we define masculinity might be problematic. Like, a lot of people associate bravado with masculinity, or like aggressiveness, which I think could be a problem. But if you want to be like strong and assertive, and you want to go to the gym, and you want to go meet girls and go on dates, like that's totally cool. Like, I think you should do that, but you just gotta make sure your motivations are right. Did you know that one of the 26 flavors of Dr. Pepper is actually pepper? Also prune, and also carrot. It's a dumpster soda originally formulated by a Confederate, and I will die on this hill. I mean, I didn't know that. That's an interesting tidbit. My body count is Ice-T's hardcore band, and that's it. I see what you did there. What body count is too high? I don't know, like 5,000 maybe. Why do you care? It doesn't matter at all. Like, at all. People who have had more partners are more likely to be on top of their regular testing and other health related stuff. You want someone who knows what's up. Yeah, it's just a matter of experience. And I hesitate to say this because I don't want to make it seem like if you haven't had a lot of sex, that means that you're like less valuable or whatever. And in the same way, if you have had a lot of sex, doesn't make you less valuable. But just as a matter of pure logic, the more you do something, the better you are at that thing. So that's one of the reasons why I think a lot of these people aren't really interested in like pleasurable sex. They just want the status of it. The reason men want virgins is they won't know they're bad in bed. Well, you know, if you've only had sex with people who are inexperienced, you're probably not that good in bed anyway, because I think it's a partnership. It's a two-person thing, or at least two-person thing. And you learn from other people. I like bacon and no longer play video games typically, but I'd probably not take unlimited bacon. That's rough as fuck. Yeah, I mean, you'd probably get tired of it. I mean, first of all, you'd probably just be sick all the time. But yeah, you probably get tired of it. I do love bacon though. It's really good. And I had to stop buying bacon because basically what happens when I buy bacon is I will cook it all and eat it in like 2 days. And probably like have a stomachache after. How long was your longest relationship and why did it end, if you want to tell? My longest relationship was, well, it kind of depends on how you define it, but and again, I don't even know if this counts because it started, I dated a girl starting in, I believe, junior year of high school, and we dated all the way until sophomore year of college. So that's like 4 years. Now, we were super young, so I don't even know if you count that, but... And then we weren't like officially together the entire time, but we like basically were. And why did it end? It ended because I was a young idiot and she got tired of that and wanted to move on with her life. And that's basically why. What if you want to be strong and assertive with that cheese steak and go to the bed? I don't get it. Cheesesteak? I like cheesesteak. A lot of the red pill people take shit too far to the point that it becomes gay. Like I said, I don't know. I don't know about that. But I do think sometimes there is irony in the way that they talk about things. And I do think this sort of like hyper masculinity, super straight type of stuff can repress sort of latent feelings in people. Like there may be guys who would be interested in experimenting with people who aren't women, but they've just fully repressed those feelings because of, you know, the status of the community and the perceptions of the community. And that's probably toxic, right? I love my dad, but he was the last person I was going to ask about dating advice, so I found the seduction community instead. Luckily, I was self-aware enough to know what was problematic. Yeah, I followed that community a lot back in the day. I don't know that I was self-aware enough to know what parts of it were problematic, but I eventually figured it out. But like I said, a lot of the stuff that they say is reasonable advice. And a lot of it is just based in like real human psychology and things like that. Like recognizing body language and things like that. I think a lot of this is legitimate advice. You know, I think some of it could be considered manipulative, but to some extent, like, you know, if you're on a date with someone, or if you're on a date, if you're just meeting someone and you're trying to attract them, you think you would like to ask them out or something. There's just things you do, you know? You don't, or there's things you ought to do. For example, you don't just go up to a woman you've never met and tell her that she's beautiful. That doesn't work. 99.9% of the time, that doesn't work. But a lot of people may not know that. But if you go up to someone with like a playful and humorous attitude and seem friendly and approachable, you're much more likely to be successful. Is that manipulative? I don't know. Maybe in a little bit, but I feel like that's fine to do, you know? It's normal for people who have no experience to want someone who also has none, but it's weird for people when people who seek out a lot are grossed out by people who like it a lot too. Oh yeah. Another thing I've heard a lot, I don't know if you guys have heard this, but there are guys who are like, I lost respect for this girl after she had sex with me. Have you heard people say this before? This is a common thing that guys say, straight guys say. It's the most bizarre fucking mental gymnastics that I've ever heard. It's just like, I pursued this girl and I wanted to have sex with her, but she had sex with me too fast and I don't really like that. It's like, what? You had sex with her though. You did it too. Just be normal. I mean, yeah, but that's a little bit glib sometimes, depending on who you're talking to, because I think part of the reason that men seek out this kind of advice is because they don't know what is normal or how to be normal. Like, I don't know, there's this idea where people like just be yourself. You don't have to overthink it. It's like, well, what if yourself is not attractive, you know? And I know be yourself is a little bit different than saying be normal, but it's possible for your normal to not be attractive to people, and you might need to change it. And by change it, it doesn't, you don't necessarily have to do all the red pill stuff, but again, we have to be realistic. And this is something that I think a lot of people miss because everyone tries to be like, you don't want to kowtow to the red pill stuff, and you want to be problematic, and you don't want to be like, unwoke or whatever. But like some things are just true. Like, for example, if you appear to be financially stable, you're gonna be more attractive to people. That's just true. By and large, not to every 100% of people, but by and large, you're gonna be more attractive to people. If you are physically fit, you're gonna be more attractive to people by and large. It's just true. Like, there's no sense in denying that it's true. But some people take that to mean if you don't go to the gym, you're worthless and, women will hate you. Obviously, that's not the case either. But, if you're like a single person and you want to improve your odds, there are things you can do to yourself, dress a little nicer, take a shower, get a haircut. These types of things help. Ain't sales, marketing, and forms of advertising are just more acceptable forms of manipulation? I mean, true. I don't know if sometimes they're not that acceptable. Sometimes they're like very predatory and unethical. But yeah. Manipulative, I think, is just a word that has a lot of baggage. Maybe there's a better word for it, but I think it is good to be thoughtful about the way that you interact with other people, especially if your goal is to make them like you, or to have the result of them liking you. Like when I meet people, like if I go on a date with a girl, I'm not going to spend the whole date talking about how much I love WWE. Even though it's true that I love WWE, I think it would be a mistake for me to do that on the date. Am I being fake? Am I being manipulative? No, I'm just being, I'm trying to like behave in a way that makes me more attractive. Now, possibly they might think that's cool, but I don't know. I don't know if that's a good strategy. You might say, but if you do that and they're into it, then you probably found the one. You've probably found someone that you're gonna like. That's maybe true, but I might have to deal with a lot of rejection before I find that one. And it's also possible that I could find someone that I like that just has no interest in WWE. Just because I love it doesn't mean they have to love it. So, I don't know if that would be a good strategy. I'm a trans woman, so I lived among the men and I know their ways. For sure. But going back to the seduction and pickup artist stuff, they do give a lot of legitimate advice, but it also gets pretty creepy and bad sometimes. Like, for example, I remember one of the I don't even how you would describe it, but like one of the topics that would be discussed in seduction communities it's a very common thing that I don't know if they still do, but back then it was this thing called LMR, last minute resistance. That was a very common thing where they trained people how to deal with last minute resistance. And you can maybe imagine in your head what that might refer to. It's basically if you've successfully attracted a woman and you're about to have sex with her, and then she has last minute resistance. She has second thoughts at the last minute or whatever, or like soon before you're about to like get it done. Of course, this is bad. This is basically a complete disrespect of someone else's consent. So this is an example of how the seduction community got it wrong. For those that, obviously, even if someone has been saying yes all night, if they say no at the end of the night, you should respect that 1000%. It's not your job to overcome the last minute resistance. So, those they didn't get everything right. In fact, it was about 50-50. Some of the stuff was pretty bad and some of it was legit. Growing up semi-religious, I wanted to get with a virgin because I associated purity with comfort, stability, and peace. Being insecure on top of that contributed to it as well. Luckily, therapy and self-improvement helped with that. Yeah, the religious thing, I could see that. I think that's a different. It's weird how many overlaps there are with the religious community and like the red pill community. I never thought about that. But yeah, I definitely could see that. I don't know if I also grew up religious, and I didn't grow up semi-religious. I grew up very religious, and I don't remember specifically wanting a virgin, but I do remember when I was younger really being concerned about fornication, because we were definitely told fornication was a sin. And I think I had trouble like processing that. It's like, well, why am I so horny if fornication is a sin? This is whack. But I obviously got over that pretty young, because I obviously did not avoid fornication. Is that still? I know in some communities, especially like the more like fundamentalist communities, they're really strict about that sort of thing. But is that even taught in like modern like churches? Are they still like as concerned about like sex before marriage? It seems like they've got more chill about that. I could be wrong though. It's not like I keep up, but I feel like I don't hear people talking about it a lot. But I'm so out of the loop when it comes to religion and church and all that stuff. I don't know what's going on. But it does seem like churches they've become more progressive over time. As an autistic femme, I found the seduction community to have a lot of helpful advice on basic social skills. Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying. This was before that community got super red pill, like back in 2013. Yeah, I believe the seduction community basically evolved into the red pill community, and the red pill community is it's kind of on another level of like pure misogyny and just all kinds of problems. Like, I feel like the seduction / pickup community they were kind of like, well, men want sex, so we're going to help them get it. I feel like that was kind of the idea. But red pill is like this whole like political movement where it's like men deserve sex and women are the property of men. And, I don't know, like there's different levels to which different people go to, but it's just a whole nother level of problems, I think. I won't be respected by God if my partner slept with someone else. That's what was ingrained. Yeah. I know that I mostly went to church when I was a teenager, and I know that they really hammered a lot of that into us. But I feel like they didn't really understand what teenagers were like interested in or worried about at the time. They talked a lot about sex and like gangs and secular music and stuff like that. And it's like, that's not really what I'm worried about right now. Like my church had like a separate service for the teenagers. And I mean, I guess sex was on our minds, But I don't know, putting all the teenagers together in a room didn't really help with that. But yeah, I don't, like I said, I'm like so far removed from that these days. It's kind of crazy to think about. I remember when some of the seduction guys started preaching their politics and want to be my dad. Like, dude, I just want to talk to a girl without getting an anxiety attack. Yeah, but that's the thing. Like these days, I think probably maybe avoid. I don't know. Whenever I see like dating coach or pickup or something like that, I get a little bit suspicious. You have to be careful with that kind of stuff. But there's definitely still good advice about how to be social, how to be more socially competent, how to be more charismatic. There's a great YouTube channel, Charisma on Command. Has a bunch of great, generally non-problematic advice about how to improve your interactions with other people. And yeah, there's I think it's a blog, Dr. Nerdlove. Is that still active? I used to read that. Another like very sort of progressive, I won't say non-problematic because that who knows, but I haven't seen any problems. So it's stuff out there. You just have to look in the right spots. But I will say, we've streamed for about 2 hours, so I'm gonna probably start wrapping up the stream here. We'll give it like 10 more minutes. It is getting late. Get a little late. It's like 10 p.m. here. Very interesting conversation here near the end. I was thinking about mentioning Charisma on Command. They were very seduction heavy, then over several years had a redemption arc and became a lot more professional and mature. I don't think I was around for their seduction arc. I've never seen their seduction stuff. I've just seen like the sort of general charisma stuff. That's interesting, but I could totally see that. Ayada, I just got here. I don't know what's happening, but hey, hello. We are getting close to the end of the stream, but thanks for stopping by. Macabre storytelling, I think, has a similar upbringing about seduction as you did. Okay, I don't think I'm familiar with that. Macabre storytelling. Maybe early 2010s. Yeah, that would be before I discovered that channel. But yeah, I mean, I could totally see that. And I mean, that's a similar thing for me where a lot of the stuff that I kind of learned from the pickup community, I still internalize it, and I think it has actually helped me in life. But I just kind of, discarded the parts that don't work. But a lot of these skills are like, if you can learn how to read body language and how to like notice nonverbal cues, that'll get you like that'll get you far. That will vastly help you in your social situations and in dating as well. Who from the anti-woke reactionary side of YouTube would you get a beer with? Who is in the anti-woke reactionary side of YouTube? I probably don't follow any of them. It's really hard. It would be really hard for me to imagine someone who describes themselves as anti-woke as being someone that I would think is cool. Not because they are anti-woke, but because they call themselves anti-woke, because that's extremely cringe. I will say this, I recently had a brief exchange with Armored Skeptic, who maybe many of you might remember from the old days of YouTube, the old culture wars between the SJWs and the anti-SJWs. He made a really good video about how about how he regretted his role and all that back in the day. And I commented on the video basically agreeing with him and sort of saying I kind of feel the same way. And it was a really pleasant exchange. But I don't know, who is the most popular anti-woke YouTuber? I probably don't even know any of them. Armored Skeptic was the gist of people I was thinking of. Yeah, I mean, there was that whole era back in the day, and I remember some of those people, but I feel like a lot of them aren't even active anymore. Maybe they are, and I just don't watch them. I think Shuon Head still makes videos. I don't watch them. I think she's gone full leftist now, hasn't she? Most of those guys were very insufferable though, the ones that I can think of. Do you eat your Cheetos cooked or frozen? Cheetos? No, is that a thing? Gross. I think Amazing Atheist is still around in some capacity. From what I see, has grown a lot. Cool. Yeah, I definitely don't follow, but I hope he's grown. I mean, I would like to think most of us have grown, but you never know. There are people that I follow that kind of had a reactionary arc and then kind of mellowed out. I know one example is Dark Matter, the guy who makes the cartoons. He briefly had a sort of quote unquote anti-woke arc, but he kind of, I think he got out of it pretty quickly, and he's still active as well. Another thing about online dating, you have to treat your dating profile like how a Fortune 500 company marketing department runs in order to get matches as a dude, professional pics, etc. That's an interesting thing about, yeah, I've talked about dating apps on social media before. It's weird. I don't really know exactly what to say. I don't know if that's totally true, but I do think you have to put effort into your profile. And I think a lot of people don't, and then they like are upset that they don't get matches. And it's like you could get more matches if you put a little more effort into your profile. But yeah, I think online dating is rough for, I mean, it's probably rough for everybody, but just in different ways. Like, I think women probably get a bunch of obnoxious, not probably, they definitely get a bunch of obnoxious sexual messages. They probably have to deal, like, in general, it maybe depends on who you are and where you live, but probably get a whole bunch of matches and have to sift through a bunch of nonsense. They probably have to deal with people who are nice at first and then start getting weird. Meanwhile, on the flip side, a lot of men have to deal with like never getting any matches, or like something I've dealt with a lot is a woman will match me and then just show like zero interest in like having a conversation. It's like, why the fuck did you match me, bro? Like, what was the point? It's like, I understand you probably got like 40 other matches, but it's like, don't match me if you don't want to talk to me. What is the point? So yeah, I don't know, but I will say I have seen the results of upgrading your profile. Like, if you put a little effort into it, make sure you got some good pictures and make sure your like prompts or whatever are, you know, attractive and appealing, you will get more matches. I promise. Well, I shouldn't promise, but I've seen it happen to me. Dark Matter's a good dude, yeah. Yeah, I've actually, of the people we've mentioned, he's one of the only ones that I've actually watched a recent video from. I've been asking a lot of creators this in the last couple of months. Do you have any causes / orgs even putting support would encourage your viewers to give the gestures vaguely at everything? Well, I recently participated in Sarah Zed's stream for transgender, what was the transgender relief fund, what's it called? I forgot the thing. Transgender law center. I think support for trans people is really important right now because trans people are like really getting the short end of the stick. I mean, as they kind of have been since people knew what transgender is, but it's particularly bad right now, so that's big. But outside of that, I don't have any like a specific one, but I do think it's a good opportunity to look into that sort of thing. It's also a good, like, if you live in the United States, it's a good time to like call your congressman and just complain about just everything. Just tell them none of this is working out. I should say congressperson. I think I said congressman, but yeah, call your congressperson. If you are too anxious to call, you can email, but everything I've seen says that calling is better. Calling is more effective. But yeah, I think it's a good time to look into things like that. For me, I'm just like really interested in sort of my mental well-being these days, so I kind of check out from a lot of this stuff a lot. And maybe I should be more engaged, but you'll have to give me some time to get more engaged because I'm trying not to get too stressed out. Most dudes don't understand how to build an aesthetic. You know what works and what doesn't. You can't just put a random selfie up. Yeah. And I won't say that I'm an expert at this either, but I've definitely, you know, I've definitely seen the effects of changing your profile and having good pictures and stuff. My brother is a photographer, so that like helps. I actually have like a actual professional photo as like my main photo on dating apps. But of course, not everybody has that. But there's like things you can do. I think you should probably have pictures of you outside doing stuff, or outside like with people, so you just look like an interesting person. Assuming you like are an interesting person. I don't think you should lie, you know? Like if you never leave your house, it would be a little bit weird for you to have a bunch of pictures of you like out in nature and stuff if you never do that. But yeah, just like express yourself, you know? You know, I'm a little nerdy, so I have a couple of nerdy pictures. I have a picture of me in a Pikachu onesie, for example, on my dating app. And maybe that'll be unappealing to some people, but it'll be appealing to some people, to others. Self-care is a part of the revolution. I mean, I guess it has to be. We can't just all be angry and stressed out 100% of the time. I don't think that's going to work. In fact, I think that's been part of the problem, is that everybody is so stressed out and so angry that we can't even think straight, and we can't like formulate a proper strategy because we're just too stressed out and we're just so emotional. I think this is kind of and I think this is like, whether consciously or unconsciously, this is part of their strategy, is to just wear us out with so much bullshit that we just can't even process it. I say subconsciously, but there's a clip of there's a clip, I think it went a little bit viral. There's a clip of Steve Bannon talking about how he deals with the media. And one of the ways that they deal with the media is by just creating so much bullshit that the media can't even cover it all. And I think it's a similar thing with how they deal with just people in general. It's like they just create so much nonsense that we just can't, we're just like too stressed out, and we either like overreact to one little thing where we get to where we ignore all the other things, or we just don't even like understand what's going on because it's so much. I think as a black man, you should be given a lot more grace and agency to be able to protect your peace. I mean, maybe. I don't really ask for more grace than anybody else. I think we all have issues, and we all deserve to be mentally well. But I understand what you're saying. Honestly, for a change at this very moment, I mean, obviously there are always issues when it comes to how black people are treated, but at the forefront right now, I think are most like immigrants, especially Latin American immigrants, and just like south of the border immigrants, basically. And trans people are like kind of like the big things right now in America. I think those might be the people that might be the most stressed out right now. Obviously, everybody's got issues. I don't mean to like say one people has it worse than someone else, but I think those are like at the forefront in terms of what people are stressed out about. My profile is a picture of me hiking in an Iron Maiden shirt. I don't get many matches, but the ones who do match mention the shirt and know what I'm into. Yeah, I think that's fine. I think that's probably what you should do. Like for me, I'm a black dude in Alabama who is a nerd. And I think that really like limits my options around here. If I lived in like a different city, it might be different, but it limits me a little bit. But I gotta be loud and proud, you know. I have on my profile that I love D&D because D&D is like literally a big part of my life, and it's a thing I do every week. And I think it would be weird for me to just, you know, meet someone and then have to tell them, by the way, I play D&D every weekend and I don't intend to stop doing that. I feel like I should be upfront with that. But I do think after, I feel like you're just like kind of if you're a nice person, people give you grace for things like that. Do you think physical sexual attraction to someone can grow / evolve over time, or is it more innate, unalterable? Absolutely can grow over time, for sure, 1000%. I think it can change. I think you can be completely unattracted to someone and then over time you become attracted. I also think you can be very attracted to someone and then over time you become unattracted to that person. It's definitely not unalterable. About to pass out. It was fun to chat. Been a long time, fan. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm probably gonna go ahead and end the stream here as well. Definitely thanks everyone for hanging out with me this evening. I'll try to stream again soon. Also look out for a new video on the channel, maybe by the end of the month. If not, then early next month, but we'll see. Also, if you're interested in cool chill chats like this, consider joining the Discord server. I'll drop a link in the chat. It's just a cool little Discord where we hang out and talk about whatever. I post on there a lot, and I try to keep it chill. It's like the only place on the internet that is reliably chill for me, where I know I can go and just be around friendly people. So if you're into that, consider checking it out. But anyway, thanks for checking out this stream. I'll stream again soon. Planning to see you should do some Malcolm in the Middle vids. I'm thinking about it. Keep an eye out. Anyway, I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.